An editor versus the terrible truth. An anti-drug public service announcement voiced by yours truly. Not to be confused for Sid Vicious. By the way, spoiler alert, you're adopted. Judge McKesson also has a strong hatred of people of color.
If anyone had ever told me a few years ago that we would ever read headlines like these in American newspapers, I would have called him crazy. Yet
It's
here we
2018,
are,
sir.
reading them.
You get more shootings than
In the middle of the
drugs.
20th century in the United States of America.
It's in other countries as well, you
hundreds
fucker!
of teenage boys and girls are becoming hopeless dope addicts every year. It's fantastic, it's unbelievable, and it's terrible, but it's true. The government maintains 2 hospitals just to treat drug addicts.
And they'll charge you more than Papa John's
Kentucky,
mansion's
and Fort
worth.
Worth, Texas. It used to be a rare thing for a juvenile to be admitted, but look at these recent figures. And remember, these are only confirmed addicts who have come to the attention of federal authorities.
AKA someone
How
you got
many others
snitched
are
on.
still only occasional users of marijuana or heroin.
Oh boy,
morphine,
let's
or
see
in
how they
some
fuck up
cases,
weed worse than
sleeping
reefer
pills.
madness.
It's pretty hard to estimate. But there's one sure thing.
They're coming to their
Nobody is
senses and
going to
legalizing
stay
weed?
An occasional user very long. This is one game nobody beats.
You forgot winning an
If you
argument
use
with the wife
narcotics,
and beating the
before
train to the
long,
crossing.
You'll have the habit, about the hardest in the world to break. And the dope addicts say, you're hooked.
Oh, phonics that is.
Well, how does one become hooked?
Asking
The
for a
simplest
friend,
way
of
to
course.
answer that is to talk to someone who has had the experience. This is the home of Mr. and Mrs. Walter Howard. They just got their teenage daughter back after a 6-month nightmare that even Edgar Allan Poe couldn't have improved on.
However, Rob Zombie is buying the rights to it so he can make a movie out of it.
Mrs. Howard agrees to let us talk to her daughter, Phyllis, when we explain that we could use her case to help others avoid the same mistakes. This is
No
Phyllis,
wire hangers!
Here's a picture. Just recently, she was released from the narcotic ward of the county jail.
She's
in the
high as
custody
fuck
of her
now.
parents. It's hard to believe that this girl is the same as the one in the picture.
He was
But it
banking
doesn't
hard
take
on
long
Joan
for the
Rivers,
drug
God
habit
rest
to
her
make
soul.
anyone over.
She looks hopped up on Xanax. Or maybe it's just me.
Phyllis wasn't anxious to talk about her experiences with dope, but she could see how her story might be used to help others, and she began to talk.
For the love of God, don't touch her inappropriately. The scarf is there to cover the bruises caused by her father's alcohol abuse. Probably.
Some of the boys smoked them. The ones who couldn't get along, who were afraid of everything. You know, the ones with no backbone.
Is that Mae West I'm hearing? I've seen too many horror flicks to know where this is gonna go, and it doesn't look good.
Tim and Bob. They both smoked pot. That's jive talk for marijuana.
We also
And
call it
after a while,
glaucoma
Ann
medication.
and I got so that we did too. It's funny what it does to you. Everything speeds up to 100 miles an hour.
No, honey, that's the cocaine.
You think you're real sharp, and you laugh a lot. You feel like you're the biggest person in the world.
You also have craving for food and think there's a hidden meaning in I am the walrus.
But I didn't feel so good when I came home high that night. My dad knew something was wrong.
Did you
but
take
he
my
didn't know
whiskey
what.
again?
Mother was sure her daughter would never do anything bad.
Bullshit!
I'd been smoking pot for quite a while before I met Chuck. I guess he was what the newspapers call a peddler.
He has a
He
bike?
supplied the kids at
Bastard!
school with whatever they wanted. Most of them used reefers like us, but some liked stronger things.
And they call him Daddy,
There was
too.
something intriguing and different about Chuck. I guess I appealed to him in some way, too.
As a new source for
Anyway,
profit.
I found out later what it was about him. He had the heroin habit. He was hooked. Chuck and
Who
I
the
started
fuck wears a
running around
collar
together,
like
and
that?
one night he
Only the
asked me if
Fonz
he
can do
could.
that, and he's
I knew
cool.
by now he started peddling after he got the habit, so he could get H for himself.
Hey, fuckface, you're doing it wrong.
Because he had a big habit. You know something about hypes? They're like a disease. They don't like to see anybody not using the stuff just because they do.
And treating it will
Chuck
cost you
finally
your
talked me
house.
into using heroin. He said it would make him feel better. So I tried it. But I was going to be smart. Just take it or leave it. Nothing was going to happen
Milking
to
for an
me.
Oscar, are we?
Before I knew it, I was hooked. Bad. I had a heroin habit as big as Chuck.
We get it. You saw Gone with the
I hadn't
Wind.
been home in
Stop
weeks.
it.
Oh, Chuck and I were married, but it didn't matter very much. Nothing does. Not when you're on H. All you think about day and night is dope.
Oh
How
shit,
much
don't
you
go
got,
on Elm
where to
Street!
get more, what you'll do if you can't get it. And then they'd got Chuck. They had to eventually, I knew that, but it didn't matter much.
The arrest was initially about him
Nothing
trying
good
to eat a
except
dog
H.
with ketchup.
All of a sudden, it hit me. If Chuck had seen the cops coming, he might have got rid of our supply.
Wait, where's the black paint? Oh wait, this is 1950s. I forgot.
That's what happened. Chuck got rid of everything.
Not the lamp, though.
Probably in the garbage disposal. Oh, that's a favorite trick of Hype's when they're going to be arrested. But it left me in an awful spot. I needed a fix bad. So bad I didn't care whether I lived or died.
Again,
And I didn't
milking
know
for
whether
an
I'd
Oscar,
ever get
but was
another
snuffed
chance.
out of the nominations by Betty Davis. She's got those eyes. I could tell. Time to call the cops on the Japs next
Had nearly
door.
gone crazy. They hadn't seen or heard from their daughter in months. Mr. Howard checked every newspaper story that might by any remote chance have to do with Phyllis.
How about going outside and
Gradually, their
look, you
hopes died.
fucking idiot!
They were almost convinced she was dead.
Honey, we need to turn out another daughter.
But I wasn't dead.
Not yet, anyway.
I tried once to kick off the habit, but I was too far gone. You know, the police say, find a heroin addict and you find a criminal.
You find a criminal
And that's
and a
just
heroin
about
addict.
it. If you're hooked bad, it costs about $30 a day for H.
That's roughly 862
Boys get the
bucks
money by
now.
stealing
100
or
short of an
smoking
iPhone
pot.
8, which is just
Maybe
as
by
addicting,
holdups.
but legal.
Girls take up street walking or do what I did. Become peddlers themselves.
Or be like
When
Walter
Chuck
White
went
and
to
cook your
jail, I
own.
used his contacts and peddled dope myself. Sure, I knew it was wrong.
Again,
but when
where's
you're
the black
hooked,
paint?
You can't help yourself. They got me eventually, too. Just like they did Chuck.
But I made the
When I was
mistake of trying to
arrested,
free
I
the
was
frozen
almost glad.
lobster from the grocery
I told them I
store.
wanted help. I wanted to try and kick it off. It was horrible. 5 days, and I didn't care whether I lived or died.
You look
It
too
feels
happy to
like
be
your
in
skin is
jail.
being torn
It's the
right off,
PCP,
and
isn't
then
it?
You ache all over and get sick, and you can't breathe. Your nose runs, and you have a high fever, and then you pass out. But when you wake up, it starts all over again.
Honey, it's cancer.
5 days.
WebMD told me so.
But I was lucky. I kicked it off, and I've never used dope since.
I have prescription
Maybe what
drugs to
happened
get
me will
hooked on
keep it from
instead.
happening to somebody else. Or I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, thanks for
All
wasting
I
8
hope
minutes
is
of my
that
life, you
someday
whore.
I can forget it.
Well, that's Phyllis's story. In the United States of America, 20th century.
Thanks for
Unbelievable,
reminding me,
isn't it,
you
that such
idiot.
things can happen. Phyllis's case is typical. Most teenagers start off with marijuana. Then they decide to see if heroin has any kick. It does.
Speaking from
Sometimes
experience,
it
of
only
course.
takes a few days to find out they can't leave it alone. In order to get money to buy it, they turn to crime. And that's the story. There are practically no happy endings when you fool with drugs.
The same can be
Doctors say
applied to
restoring
marriage.
An addict to normal life is about the toughest thing in medicine. Well, what's the answer? Enforcement? Yes, that's one of them, certainly. In the Far East a few years back, they were lining up dope peddlers and shooting them in the back of the head.
We're trying to
But
make
it
that
didn't
policy a
stop
reality to
addiction.
law enforcement
It
because
just
due
made it harder
process is for
victims
pussies.
to get the stuff. No, the answer is a simple one. Just use your head.
But I don't want to
Leave
use my
narcotics
head!
absolutely alone. Remember what happened to Phyllis and others like her.
I'll forget
Talk it over
instantly.
with your parents or school counselor, somebody you have confidence in. Some say the Reds are promoting dope traffic in the United States to undermine national morale.
No, they
did it in
don't. They
China
have
a few
Facebook and
years
Twitter for
back.
that.
It's
By the way,
certainly
how the
true
hell
that
are you
the increased
speaking
use
with
of
moving your
narcotics
lips
plays
wrong?
right into their hands. But why not show everybody, including ourselves, that young American men and women have too much intelligence to make such a stupid, ghastly, tragic mistake.
Then you clearly
Let's
haven't
make
seen the
tomorrow's
2016
headlines
elections.
Read like this.
The subsidy reads, teens now into school shootings, and also Tide Pods.